Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with the training today. Again, today's topic is mastering LinkedIn for business growth. So some LinkedIn fun facts. 41% of millionaires actually use LinkedIn. There's about 2 new users that join every second, and 1 in 3 professionals are actually on LinkedIn. The average user has about 930 connections. 41% of users visit LinkedIn via mobile, and HubSpot found that LinkedIn is 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter combined. It's comprised of 56% males and 44% female users, and it reaches about 13% of millennials ages 15 to 34. So one of the first things to really think about when we talk about LinkedIn is how's your personal brand? Because one of the things is 9 out of 10 times when you search for your name on Google, your LinkedIn profile is the top search result. So potential customers are searching for you online. What are they finding now? We always like to just put our name in Google, see what shows up. If we don't like the results, obviously we can also get your domain name.com. For example, I have michellehummel.com. So if you really want to take it to the next step, you can invest in all of that. But the fact is that your name is your personal reputation. And of course, you need to control that message. And a lot of folks that are doing business with you kind of want to know who you are. So having your personal brand under control is important. And if you don't want to go the steps of obviously getting your entire domain name.com, you can simply maximize your LinkedIn profile. And that's what we're going to talk about doing today. So here are some good reasons why you need to update your LinkedIn profile today. It is the top search result for your name, and someone is actually keyword searching for your services right now. So they might be looking for any type of topic. And as you see on my profile, I have all of the most important keywords in the top section. And this way, if somebody is looking for these particular items here, they will show me up on page 1 above my competitors. Usually it just defaults to say CEO of Web Strategy Plus, but you can go in and update your keywords to get better search results. Now, LinkedIn is a great place to demonstrate thought leadership. I often joke how Facebook's kind of like the whole mode is just eating cereal, watching cat videos, very relaxed atmosphere, where LinkedIn is more so a suit and tie. So it's a very different place, and you should engage a bit differently there as well. So it's a place where you can definitely share your content, your blogs, all of the things that you may not share a lot more on your personal, of course, Facebook account. So your LinkedIn profile really helps you have a strong business presence. I also consider it a virtual Rolodex because it's the place where you can go and find all of your business contacts easily. A lot of times when I go to networking events, I might connect with someone there and say, hey, are you on LinkedIn? And I'll find them on my profile and I'll say, is this you? And we'll connect instantly at a networking event. Or if somebody needs an introduction, then I'll simply go to my contacts and say, let me make that introduction for you right now. And I'll send an email to both people and be on the way. So it's your ultimate personal branding platform. It is the place where you can absolutely highlight who you are, what you do, charities, volunteer, everything, books you've written, really make that profile shine because it is that first impression when someone sees your name online. Also make sure that you delete duplicate accounts because there's nothing worse than, somebody trying to connect with you and next thing you know, they've sent you connection requests that you don't accept and unfortunately, you're not even aware because it's a duplicate account that you no longer have access to. So it's a good way to make sure that you have one account online and that you have full access to it and you can use it in the right ways. So another little action plan I like to spell out is before you get started on LinkedIn, it's always good to think about what you want to be known for or found with when it comes to keywords. So I'd like for you to write down 5 to 10 keywords that you would like to be known for. This way you can make sure that those keywords are throughout your profile. And also use those keywords to search LinkedIn and see who appears for those keywords right now. That's a good, intelligent way to find out, exactly who's out there and who your competitors are really. So we do want to create a LinkedIn profile that helps to convert leads. So your first step is to add your target keywords to your headline, as I mentioned, and get your custom URL for marketing. So there is a way that you can actually update the URL that LinkedIn gives you by default to have it be your name. Like I have michelleshummel.com. So now my URL for LinkedIn is just linkedin.com/MichelleSHummel, for example. I'll show you that. Also, it's nice to have a professional kind of headshot here. You can use this free tool, pfpmaker.com, and you can get an image made for yourself, because you definitely want to have a professional image on that profile. You don't want to have a picture of your dog. I've seen people actually use their wedding picture, which is kind of funny with man and wife. And so, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're approaching it as a professional profile. You want to make sure to add more details to your summary section. I like to kind of answer the question like how I can help, which will help spell out very clearly all the details of your service. And you can also add call to actions throughout your profile, such as, free consultation, webinars, PDFs, media inquiries, things like that. So let me take a look at my profile just to give you some ways that you can enhance it. So as I mentioned, you can get a URL customized for your profile. I've already done mine, but you can just click here and you can update this URL so that now this is the simplest way people can get to your profile. So that's a good way to optimize it. And as you can see, I have several keywords at the top of mine. This is a best practice to help you show up on search of LinkedIn. And also you can expand on your about section. I actually believe I maximized it to the many characters as possible, but all of these keywords are really important and critical for me to show up in search. So I make sure that all of that content is there. In addition, I can highlight my services, which again have those keywords that I want to be found for, known by, and I can also update those keywords within my profile of description for the company. So several great ways that you can maximize your listing. Now we're going to talk about how important it is to verify your LinkedIn account. So this is a few steps that you must take in order to make sure that you are real. And typically it's going to require you to supply your driver's license or passport, but it is a very important step, because if you do this, of course, it's going to assure other people that you're a real profile, but most importantly, it's going to help you show up more prominently on LinkedIn with search results. And most importantly, on top of that, is it's going to allow you to create newsletters, events, all of the other features that are only available through a fully verified account. So I highly recommend that everyone do this, because you will be very much limited with what you can do. And a lot of the things I'm going to teach you about today are not possible without your account being verified. So definitely want to make sure that you take those steps, because it's well worth it. And let's talk about boosting your targeted LinkedIn connections fast. There are several ways to do that. We're going to talk about those today. So the first step is to search for your city, because obviously you want to connect with people that are available to join you at Kids Park. The second step is to search for what we call your second connections on LinkedIn. Once we find those second connections, and just to explain what that is, your first connections are the ones that you already are connected with. Your second connections are who you know based on mutual connections that you have with your first connections. So when you find those second connections, those are the people that are most likely to connect with you, because they already see that you have people in common. So you can send them a connect request, ask for an introduction from a mutual connection, 2 different ways you can do it. I would suggest connecting with no more than 150 people per day, because you want to make sure that you're not kind of spamming or having too much activity on LinkedIn, because it can hurt you. We can also use filters for better results. We can search people on LinkedIn by job titles, locations, etc. So let's go through that example together. So going out here, let's just say that I'm searching for people in Cincinnati. Let me do that here. So again, as I mentioned, when you click first, these are people in Cincinnati that I'm already connected with. I already have the message option, so I can send them content and connect with them. But if I click on second, now these are folks that I am not yet connected with, but I actually have several connections mutually. So these folks, because we have those mutual connections, are more likely to accept my contact request, because they feel like there's a no like trust factor because of the common people here. So it's very simple. You just click connect. And there's 2 ways that you can connect. You can send without a note, which means it'll just automatically send request, or we can actually connect by adding a note, which I do recommend doing if you want to kind of make it a little bit more personalized, but it's not necessary. So it's just depending on kind of which way you want to go. But this is a great strategy to grow your audience and your contacts because these second connections are more likely. Now, if I click on third, these are connections that actually have additional mutual connections, but they're a little bit more disconnected from the second. So I tend to just go with the second connections because they have more in common. So also wanted to show you how you can filter these connections, right? So let's say that we go to second connections and then we want to look at truly, okay, we know they're in Cincinnati, but I want to filter these connections based on the fact that they may have these different features in their profile. Maybe they work in a particular industry, they go to a particular school, they work in different services, so on and so forth. So just letting you guys know that you can filter this down even more and get even more detailed search results. So right now I have 5,100 results, which is pretty significant. So again, this is the importance of verifying your profile so that we can make better connection requests, get more access to tools like this, in addition to having people be more likely to connect with you because your account is verified. So stepping back to the presentation, another thing that you can do to help grow your audience and your exposure is to join targeted groups on LinkedIn. So one of the steps is if you identify someone that you truly want to connect with, you can view their profile and actually see what groups they are in. So let's just show you how that's possible. So let's say that I'd really like to connect with Michelle, and all I have to do is actually see immediately that I am in a group with Michelle, Cincinnati chapter. And so I can, go to this group and I can already join it. So I've already joined this group. I can find her within the group. But let's say that I'm not a member of a group, but I know that she's in a group that I would want to engage with. So I can see the groups that she's in, so I can join them as well. I can see the newsletters that she has subscribed to, the schools, the companies, the top voices she follows. So I can really get to know her persona and kind of connect with her in other ways. So that's excellent. So you can join the group where your target audience is already a member. This might also give you insight on the types of groups that you can join in order to be more connected with your target audience. And then, of course, you can engage in these groups. You can post your blogs to these groups. You can post events. You can comment on posts. You can ask questions in the group. And you can even post poll questions in the group. So let me show you a little bit about groups and how they work. So I can visit all of my groups here on my profile just by clicking groups. And I have created groups as well as joined groups. Here's a group that I have recently joined, Brain Expansion Group. And I actually have posted some blogs in here, but wanted to let you know one of the things you can do in groups is you actually can post polls. I'm going to demonstrate an example of that later on in our training. I can also post content in the groups. I can post my blogs, like I said. I can add media to the group. So it is beneficial to join groups, but obviously you want to make sure that the groups are a good fit because it does take some time and it will make sense to obviously engage in places where your target audience is more likely to be. Now, earlier today, I actually posted a poll in a group. And let me see if I can find that poll. Yes, I just posted this poll about an hour ago. What do you think is the most important skill for leaders today? And so far we have about 8 votes and lots of comments. And so this is just an example of how you can post these polls, whether you post them on your personal wall or you can even post them into these groups and you'll start to get people to engage. So I do some polls for fun, like cats or dogs or other that just gets people talking, but I also post polls in groups to get engagement. So I have a lot of activity happening here today. I've been pretty active on LinkedIn. It's one of my top social media networks to drive leads. So happy to share all of these great ideas with you guys today. Now, we're going to get into some more topics, but I want you to think about what you can give away for free in exchange for potential leads' email address. I'm going to dive in a little bit more into that piece in a moment. So this kind of ties into the end of this piece. So let me rephrase on this. We want to make sure that we get more email leads from LinkedIn. So I want to share some ways that I've been able to do that, as well as increasing my reach with great content. So you want to be posting engaging content that makes people click. So kind of a example of how to create really great content is to have the first sentence be a hook. So you want to state the problem that you solved or the gist of the post. In the second hook, you want to add a statistic or a conflicting comment for curiosity. So you can also ask questions at the end of your post to inspire engagement. So there's several strategies that you can use on LinkedIn to create more engaging content. This is one of them. So I said tackling the disconnect between consumer expectations and marketing realities. While 80% of CEOs believe that they deliver a superior customer experience, only 8% of their customers agree. Isn't that shocking? So this post essentially is creating kind of a conversation. And so you can see here, I posted this out, and it's an opportunity for them to get a website score. I'm driving traffic, and there's tons of comments. People are engaging on this post. I think I posted about an hour ago. So I'm definitely getting people talking and engaging on the post. So it's all about thinking through how you can kind of create content that gets people thinking and talking. That's one example. As I mentioned, you can also post poll questions. So this is that example I shared with you, which allowed me to get a lot of people talking. And I noticed that one of the people who commented on this particular post actually then started liking all of my other content that I had created. So polls are definitely something that you can easily do. And these can be posted on your profile as well as on your actual groups. So I'm going to share with you kind of an example of doing that in a group. So let me go to one of our groups, show you how to do that. So one of the things I'm also going to teach you about today is the benefit of creating a group. Because when you create a group, you pretty much control it, because you can decide who gets to join the group and not per se. But also we're going to talk about the importance of naming that group and all sorts of really neat things that you can do. So this is one of the groups that I created, and I have several actually. But as I mentioned, you can post polls to the group. So it's very simple. You just post your question in, and then of course I have some answers here that I can put into the group. You can add lots of options for the answers. And the neat thing about these groups, again, once your profile is verified, you can do this, but also it's going to give you more exposure to the platform. And I don't know about you, but I actually personally love kind of answering things like this, because I'll show you why. When you see the question, you can't see the answers that other people provided until you vote yourself. So out of curiosity and knowing that I can just click very quickly on the post, I can find out, what other people think. So now that I've posted this, I can click on email newsletters. This is how I prefer to get my updates. And then I can come back here. I'll get tons of notifications that people are engaging on this poll. And by default, because I'm the publisher, they're going to get curious about who I am, and they're going to want to learn more about me. So it is a great way to engage on the platform and grow your audience. All right. So let's talk about how to engage with people one-to-one on the platform. So there's several ways to do it. You can leave an insightful comment about an article or tag them, and of course share their article with the audience, your audience. You can post an insightful comment on their posts. You can also save their posts. Maybe you're not ready to comment, but you want to do it later. You can save that and come back to it later. And then of course you can share their content with your personal comments as well. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is to study who I have here on my feed and how I can engage with them. So here is a gentleman who I have a few things I can do. Like I said, I can save this. So let's say that I want to engage on this later. I can go to my saved posts. Maybe I just don't have time to put something thoughtful down. and I can then go back to his post at a later time and I can engage on it. So that's a quick and easy way that you can engage on someone's content. But as I mentioned, one of the things you can do, few of the things you can do actually, you can like their content with various options. You can comment on it. And a lot of times AI will kind of give you a pre-content option, but I'm just going to go ahead and type this out. I can also repost this with my thoughts or just simply repost it. And I can even send this to someone else directly to share. So there are a lot of great things you can do on LinkedIn to engage with folks. And I highly recommend you do this because obviously it is a place to network and build relationships. And that's exactly what we want to do. So obviously content is king. I really love this quote. And I tell this to a lot of my clients because they kind of get the idea that they just want to talk about their products and services. And, that's nice, but people love to be kind of inspired on social media. So this is kind of the mantra I share with them when they really just want to be very heavy on posting about their services. I tell them, make me think, make me laugh, inspire me, or teach me something new, and I'll remember you when the time comes to buy. And the reason this works is because people like to be entertained. They like to laugh. They like to be inspired. They like to learn. All of these things are important on social media so that we can get people interested in who we are and what we do. So the question you want to be asking yourself is, what makes my business so interesting that people will want to talk about it and share it with their friends? The fact is, you can't succeed in social media if you don't have something interesting to say. So definitely think about the content that you're sharing, and is it interesting? Does it make people laugh? Does it inspire them? Teach them something new? Because even though they may not need your services right now, if you've done those things, when the time comes that they do need your service, you'll be the first person they think of. And that's why marketing works. And that's why you got to be really making an impact. So some LinkedIn content ideas, if you're looking to kind of beef up the strategy on LinkedIn, some ideas to do. Mondays, you could just do motivational quotes. Tuesdays, you could do testimonials. Wednesday, you could do poll question of the day. Thursday, you could do thought leadership, which could be topics that you share, topics you write. Friday, you could do funnies just to entertain them about the day-to-day life of Kids Park. I mean, you could think of several funny ways to approach the target audience here. You could do a shout out to strategic businesses. Maybe you do a shout out to another business that you work with. And that's always going to be a goodwill thing that will help grow your business. You can tag that business and share their content. Or you can even do Sunday, where you share expert industry related articles. So there's a lot of great content that can be posted on LinkedIn. And I highly recommend you kind of think through a good strategy there. So kind of a homework part could be to write down 7 weekly topics you could post about on LinkedIn. That way it gives you some ideas that you can work with. So another way to create a viral post on LinkedIn to grow your email list is as follows. So I actually created this ebook, which was Learn How I Got 500 plus email subscribers in less than 24 hours and how you can do it too. So I created this ebook. I tied it in to my email service, which I also use ActiveCampaign, so that I could create a little form where they would give me their email and their name and click for instant access. But I also created an interesting post where I said, in order to get your copy, please comment below. And so they made their comment. I sent them the link to download this ebook. And then I also followed up with adding them to my email list with their permission. So there's several ideas here where you could create an interesting book about top 5 ways to create a kids party that rocks. I'm just making things up, but you can create some really interesting content that people would want to learn more about. Maybe recipes for kids. Could be a million different ways you could do this, but the idea is that you can create content that you can basically get people to get excited about. You can even just leave the link to access the content immediately, or you could require they comment, which would obviously create more impressions for your copy content. But there's several ways that you can actually utilize the platform to grow your email list, as well as letting people know that you have some great content. Obviously, they could book more tours this way. They could subscribe to your email list this way with a simple link to join your tour or a link to join your email list. Several ideas here that can help grow your business. So you can also create a targeted group on LinkedIn to help convert your leads. It's very important to name and describe the group correctly to attract the right audience. So for example, I create groups that make sense, like name-wise, like franchise success team group or real estate advice club group or social media enthusiast group. So make sure that you name it correctly so that you identify the target audience. They can very clearly see that this group makes sense. You can also invite your connections to join the group, which is very powerful because you can invite them to join whether they're in a particular location, in a particular industry, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, there's just a lot of benefits to creating a group on LinkedIn. So I've created lots of groups, like I mentioned, and I can kind of show you behind the scenes what is possible when you have these groups, because it is something that could be super worthwhile. As you know, we do engage a lot on Facebook with your groups. So why not create a group? Your City Moms group would be amazing on LinkedIn. And so you might wonder, well, that's great. I can create a group, but how do I grow it? Pretty quickly and easily. I'll show you exactly how. So you create the group, number one, and then you can invite your connections. So that's why it's really important to build your connections on LinkedIn, obviously, to get your profile verified so that you can take these steps. And so again, I can search for a particular area. For my group, I can already see that I've invited a few people in Cincinnati, but I've made quite a few contacts since I have invited them. So I can just simply click on their names and I can invite them to join my group. And I can also decide to invite people that are in particular industries. So there's several industry choices. You just start typing and it'll bring up the different industries available for invitation. But again, I can sort this so that I only show people in particular industries. Now, obviously, I've invited a lot of folks because this is a good fit for this industry. And so I can just click invite. And you can do this up to 100 and some times a month. So obviously, you would want to do that. But that's going to help grow your group quickly, and highly recommend you do that. Some other neat things you can do on the poll group, as I mentioned, is you can write polls, which is great. You can post content. You can post documents, media, etc. You can also create a welcome note when people join the group. There's all sorts of really neat things that you can do to kind of create a great and successful group here. One thing you can also do is pin your content. Because you own the group, you can keep it pinned to the top. And you can also send a notification out to all of these people about your posts. So I can recommend this post and it'll go out to all of my 6,000 plus contacts via email in their inbox, letting them know that I have recently published this blog and that I think that this would be something they may want to see. And they used to have pretty strict limitations on how many of these you can do. It does look like you can do 3 times a week now. Obviously, I can't do this one again, but you can post a lot of recommendations, more than they used to allow. 3 posts every week from Monday to Sunday. So that's pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and let them know about this as well. And so, yeah, a lot of great things you can do with the group. Highly recommend that you consider creating one, because then you can track the moms in your local areas by getting involved on these groups. Also want to mention the importance of creating a LinkedIn email newsletter to increase your reach. We actually were able to create a few email newsletters for some of the folks that signed up for our marketing packages. Only for the ones, though, that had over 100 connections, and only for the ones that had their accounts fully verified. Unfortunately, if you don't have more than 100 or so connections, and if your profile is not verified, then you will not be eligible to create your LinkedIn email newsletter. So this is a good reason to get verified, as well as getting those connections up and running, because this is a very powerful strategy. These emails that are sent through their platform are actually delivered to the inbox of your subscribers. So we're not talking about just LinkedIn. We're talking about the actual email, like Michelle at Web Strategy Plus. That's powerful. You can also share these posts on your wall so people subscribe to your newsletter that may not, have access about it. And then you can also feature your article on your profile so they can subscribe to your accounts easily. So I've got about 5,000 plus subscribers, 16 new subscribers in the past 7 days. So definitely a great strategy. And I'm going to walk you through that just a bit here because I do think this is so important. So as you're on the LinkedIn platform, you can actually click write article. This is where you can post actual content on the platform, your title, your description, your upload, your image, and this is technically your newsletter. You can post articles if you aren't eligible for actually having a physical email newsletter. You can still post articles, but obviously there is a benefit from having your own newsletter. So I have it as featured content on my profile so people can easily know about my newsletter and subscribe to it. So you can see it says subscribe because I've already subscribed. But I have these blogs going out. Like 1 week ago, I posted this one, a week before that. So I get a lot of engagement, 12 comments, 4. And so, I mean, this is set on autopilot for me because my team, I'm writing this content, I'm scheduling to go out. So every week I have a new blog going out and I see my subscribers increasing. Of course, these blogs are driving traffic to my website and this strategy does work. I do want to highlight a success story with one of your own team members where with Megan, we actually did create a newsletter for her called Parenting Tips, Help, and Ideas. And she's already up to 66 subscribers starting from 0. And so obviously this does work. And I highly recommend that you folks consider doing that or maintaining that because it will definitely grow your business. Also want to mention that if you have never done LinkedIn ads before, you do get a $50 LinkedIn ad credit. And this is the link to do so. So obviously you'll be sharing this presentation and you'll have this link and certainly an opportunity to get started on that platform with a credit. So I want to talk about why it's so important to have an email marketing strategy. So 91% of consumers obviously use email. Repeat emails help customers know, like, and trust you, which is what is really needed for a sale. It takes 7 times for them to see your brand in order for them to take a step forward. So that's why social media is great. We can post on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all the different places. Then we send them an email. We have blogs. All of these touch points help them to take a step forward. But it does take about 7 touch points for that next step. So this is why this is a good thing to do, to have repeat content going out. So with email, we can send follow-up emails based on actions that a customer has already taken. You can collect reviews by adding the link to your email signature line. Of course, a great autoresponder system will send an email once, you have a new customer, for example. You can get an automated email set up. So email is definitely a great way to go. Now, what's neat about what you can do with email, you can actually export your LinkedIn contacts. So once you get all those contacts, built up, you can pull them out of your LinkedIn and you can import them into your active campaign account, for example, and then you can start sending them marketing messages. Of course, you want to have an unsubscribe link because that's just a best practice, but you can simply say something like, dear so-and-so, as a LinkedIn connection of mine, I wanted to share this helpful resource with you. And this could be a great way to increase your contacts and touch points there. So in order to actually export your LinkedIn connections, you just click on My Network and you go to Contacts and you'll find there is an export button there. So I think I have 24,000 contacts that I can export. And if they have an email, they don't all have emails, but if they do, now you can actually sort them and look at those contacts and look at ways that you could send outreach campaigns and build communications with your target audience. So I want to talk about the importance of marketing your company page to reach more leads as well. So your company page is pretty unique in that it also has the ability to have a newsletter, just like your profile. You can create events on your company page. You can also invite targeted connections through it. And you can add up to 250 targeted followers to your company page each month. So there's a lot of amazing things that you can do with your company page, and I highly recommend that you do it. So let's talk about that. So I can get to my company page here just by clicking. And this is kind of what it looks like. But as you can see, I've created a newsletter for my company. We have about 781 subscribers, and I have blogs going out through this company page as well. So those subscribers may or may not be different than my subscribers to my personal account, but that's a good thing. You got a lot of opportunities to touch folks with marketing. I've also created an event, and this is what an event looks like. So you have a URL here, and you can actually manage this in several ways. You can invite people to attend your event. Once you post it on the LinkedIn platform, you can invite people based on their industry, their school, their current company, their locations. And again, just like the other example I shared with you, you can just click on their profiles and click invite. That's simple. You can also repost it, to your feed, letting people know about this event coming up. And you can also send them a message. So if you find somebody that would be really, this would be a really good event for, I can just click send and it goes right to their message, letting them know about this event. So they do make it very easy for you to help get promotion to your events by posting them here on your profile. And like I said, newsletters, you can do events. You can even invite people to follow your page, and you get about 250 credits available to you. And again, I can determine, where are these folks at when I want to invite them to my page. And it's just as simple as clicking each of these profiles, and they will get an invitation to follow my business page. So definitely a lot of great things you can do with your company page. So as I mentioned, you can create an event on LinkedIn. This was the example of my event, Social Media Magnet Academy, and we kind of touch base on all of that. And I want to talk about why it's so important to have a blog for your business. So 75% of users never scroll past the first page of search results. So blogs are going to help with that, having ranking. So ranking high on search engines obviously builds trust and credibility. And with blogs, you can reach people who are looking for exactly what your business offers. You can measure which search keywords are the most valuable to your business, and blogs drive organic traffic through keyword search. So blogging is important. I think what I discovered the other day, let's see if I can find this, backup childcare solutions. So we actually started to do some blog marketing for you guys a bit ago. And what I found is one of the blogs that we wrote actually is showing up on page 1 of Google, which is fantastic. So this is kind of why we want to do blogging, is we have an opportunity to show up on page 1 of Google, and we're showing up, without paying for this per se, in the sense that blogs last about 2 years. So this content could be on the first page of Google for a long, long time. So this is kind of the benefit of, making sure that you have the right keywords when you're doing your content, and also the benefit of doing it overall, because they'll definitely help you show up on page 1 if written well and done right. So let's talk about how we can use LinkedIn to drive blog traffic to your website and all of that good stuff. So there is a way that you can post to the platform. You want to provide a blog summary, obviously, about your article to drive clicks directly to your website. You can add hyperlinks in your articles to your other blogs that maybe you've written, maybe cross-promote different things. So for example, you could write a blog about your upcoming event, and then you could cross-promote it to subscribe to the event, things like that. So it's kind of a no-brainer that you could definitely promote through your platform. Through your newsletter, you could promote your blogs through your personal newsletter, or even writing articles, you could post blogs. So it's definitely a great platform to drive traffic in that way. Also, I want to mention how important it is to connect with prospects and clients, especially on LinkedIn. So obviously, if you're out there and you're meeting folks in person, definitely make sure that you collect their business cards, because it's an opportunity for you then to look them up on LinkedIn and have an opportunity to find them there and send them a meeting request. After a phone call or meeting with someone new, you can let them know, hey, I'm going to send you a request to connect on LinkedIn. I'd love to build more relationships with you there, introduce you to my contacts, etc. Because 62% of business owners actually report having gained new clients from LinkedIn. So it's definitely a good strategy to consider. So again, make sure that you're in the habit of collecting business cards at networking events, and make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn right away. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll send them a personal message. I'll say, hey, it was great to meet you at the XYZ networking event. I'd love to continue building this relationship. And here is, my request to connect. And so that way they have a frame of reference on where they met you at, and it's an opportunity to build upon that initial connection. So great idea there. If you're still in the mood to learn, I do have a Social Media Magnet Academy. In just 3 weeks, you'll go from feeling lost and frustrated with online marketing to have a clear, profitable social media marketing strategy in place. Essentially, what this is an opportunity for you to learn within a 3-week period. So every Tuesday or Thursday, depending on the month, I'll teach from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. a little boot camp version of the class, and then you'll have a week to do the homework, and you'll come back to the next week, same day, time, say Tuesday or Thursday. And so then it's just kind of gives you a little digestible way of learning instead of being overwhelmed with the process. And that's something that I do every month. I believe the next month is coming up on April 15th. So that could be an opportunity to learn more. Or of course, if you're learning, want just to kind of have someone else take over the reins, obviously my team can help you guys do everything from social media post creation, engaging, pay-per-click ads, video creation, blog writing, email management, all of that. So that pretty much concludes the training for today. I want to thank you guys for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email at Michelle@WebStrategyPlus, or just, give me a call and I'm happy to help. Thanks again for your time and have a great day.